Well, this is it. We are at the Fort Stanwix National Monument, which is in the middle of downtown Rome, New York. I don't often have to parallel park my RV. Good thing I'm a really good driver. Alright, it is raining a bit. And so far what I can see are the battlements over there. We're going to go into the visitor center. I'm going to hope there's a film. Kit seems to be looking desperately for a place to do his thing. What are you sniffing, Kit? What you sniffing, Sniffer? Come on, come. Come. Okay, let's go. And it's pretty breezy, so we're gonna go find out what we can find out. The gateway between East and West.
Has a series of 3 short films that will play automatically as you walk in front of them.
Cool.
The fort itself has one in an interior building that starts every half hour.
Okay. And the fort is right over there, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And it will open in 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it wasn't open yet.
Yeah, it opens a half hour later in the visitor center.
Okay.
Just to get folks in there in time to open up all the lots and such.
And do you get a lot of visitors here?
I mean, we get usually between 80 and like 120 a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
More than I would have expected. And do you have a parking lot, or is it really just on the street?
There's a street, and there is a parking lot kind of across the street and up that way.
Okay.
It is a bit, not too long of a walk, but it is kind of a walk.
Well, I don't often have to parallel park my motorhome, but I did it. It was fine. But I was just curious because, like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem like a lot of parking. I thought maybe because you don't get a lot of visitors.
Yeah, actually, no. The parking lot itself actually was closed for a while and only reopened a few months ago. So yeah, it has been kind of tight coming and going, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, it probably pays to show up reasonably early on a bad weather day.
Yeah, it does. And like days like today tend to be slower.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Stamps are right there. Okay, we'll do that in a minute. Let's go ahead and go through the museum first. Don't look at me like that, you're working. Thank you. Alrighty, thank you.
Absolutely. Take care.
Okay, so we got a weapons program at 11 o'clock. The exhibits are very well done and take you through the chronology of how we got to the Revolutionary War. So Fort Stanwix was developed in 1758. The fort became a mere shell by 1776. We were impressed by its size and position. One of the things that's cool in here is that they've got several different films that start as you approach them. So they're on motion sensors. This is interesting. I'm not terribly familiar with the main players in the Revolutionary War. We're up to 1777 now. And we have a caution of violent scenes in the next movie coming up. So the siege at Fort Stanwix is the first time that the 6 Indian nations ended up fighting against each other, because some joined the Loyalists and some joined the Patriots, as they thought of themselves. 2-week siege, a lot of people died. But ultimately, the Americans took the day. After the siege, life at Fort Stanwix was a mixture of boredom and fear. The monotony of drilling and guard duty filled the soldiers' day, yet there was the ever-present threat of random attacks on those who ventured from the security of the fort. Raids by Loyalists and British allied American Indians in 1778 destroyed Patriot settlements in Pennsylvania and New York. In 1779, General Washington ordered General Sullivan, I know he marched into Horseheads, where I used to live, and Clinton to retaliate and destroy 6 nation towns, homes, and food. Soldiers from Fort Stanwix tricked Patriot allied Oneida warriors into raiding the British supply depot at, let's pronounce this one, Oswegatchie, maybe, before leaving to destroy Onondaga towns. These raids and counter-raids continued until 1783. Fire destroyed the fort in May 1781. Arson was suspected but never proven. After the fire, soldiers removed all the reusable iron they could find and then abandoned the site. 10 years later, the future town of Rome grew around, then over, the remnant of the fort. Interesting. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get our passport stamped, and we're gonna go take a look at the fort. All right, we're gonna continue our exterior exploration. National Park Service, North County National Scenic Trail, Oneida Indian Nation. Oh, and there is a cell phone audio tour, but I don't think I'm going to do it today. I've watched all the movies so far. We're going to watch one more. Read a bunch of the placards. I don't think I need the cell phone tour. Look at that amazing house and the big church behind it. Very cool. Still very, very overcast. Oh, and I took so long we missed the weapons demonstration. Oh, looks like they had a Chalk on the Walk event. What you doing, kidster? You just sniffing, sniffer? Oh, this is a nice setup with the table set so you can roll a wheelchair right up to it and be on the pavement still. For centuries, American Indians, traders, soldiers, and travelers crossed over this very path. Here goods and ideas were exchanged. The name of this portage trail between the two river systems of the Mohawk River and the Hudson River is known as the Oneida Carrying Place. It served as a major east-west route linking the Atlantic to the Great Lakes when waterways were the lifeblood of trade. We're going to trace the pathway back in time. Depending on the season, boats and goods were carried over land as much as 6 miles between the two rivers. So, portages. All right, there you have it. Oh, they got a little bike repair stand here, along with the tire pump. That's pretty cool. It is pretty unusual to find a complete national park in the middle of the city. Morning.
Morning.
Fort Stanwix is best known for the 1777 siege, but such dramatic events were not a feature of everyday life. Limited space inside the fort forced some soldiers and a few of their wives and children to live outside the walls. A unique community formed outside the fort. Working for daily rations, the women and children did laundry, nursing, and the most menial tasks, forming the backbone of everyday life. They are the unsung heroes in the history of Fort Stanwix. And just a reminder, whenever you see me turn in what appears to be kind of an odd direction, it's because Kid has wrapped his leash around me, and I need to get unwrapped. So in terms of visiting the fort, so far I've been very impressed with the visitor center here. In most visitor center, I'm kind of lazy. I don't read all the placards and stuff. I try and watch all the park films because I find they're really good. And here's the visitor center is actually quite large, as you can see over there. But this is pretty unique in that it's as I said, in the middle of a city. All of the pathway appears to be paved, so it's totally accessible. And with things like that picnic table I pointed out, they made an effort to make it, super accessible. Mighty milkweed. Over 2,000 individual milkweed plants. Best known for its role in the monarch butterfly migration. Provides a food source for several threatened species that live on park grounds, including the golden bumblebee, and a temporary home and rest stop for many other insects passing through. Some even rely exclusively on milkweed for their survival. Pretty, huh? So, that's the other thing to know. Not only is this a national park, but this is also a case where this pathway, I guess, is part of the city trail system. And so, it's not just like being in a regular national park. That guy came by on a bicycle and I did not have Kit tightly leashed. So, oops, my bad. Oh, I guess you can actually park over here on the street too. Built on the foundations of the original 18th century fort, this reconstruction provides insight into the experiences of those who lived here. Their stories are preserved in recreated rooms, barracks, and exhibits. Their stories are told in the artifacts, documents, and evidence they left behind. Okay, we're about to get inside finally. Might have to speed this part up for you. Oh, maybe I'll just walk faster. Let's try that. And hopefully I've got my microphone set properly today, because it is a bit windy. And I noticed in the video that I was editing last night that I did not have it set properly. All right, here we go. just passed a sign that said no smoking beyond this point. So they've got a recreation of a garden over here. Okay, just to give you an idea of the overall layout, it's large and well situated. The examination of this fortification gave me a better idea of the strength and importance of a fort than anything I ever before saw or read. Captain Joseph Bloomfield, 1776. Now, oh, it's an aerial view, never mind. It's like, why are we seeing all those houses? Well, we were also seeing cars in that picture, so duh. So this is basically like a moat.
Morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I am amazing and fascinating today. How about you?
Very well. What you got there? A little camera?
Little camera.
All right.
How you feel about being on YouTube?
Hello, everyone in YouTube Village. I'm sorry.
Perfect.
I mean,
Stop, Kit. You're fine.
Ferocious beast.
He is.
Who are you protecting, huh?
Everybody that I know.
You wanna-
Nope, he does not. He,
No?
unfortunately, he's a rescue. He's afraid of.
He's fortunate.
Yes,
Because you did rescue him.
indeed. But he's afraid of men and terrified of children. But then so am I. He's doing much better than he was when I got him 18 months ago, but he's still very reactive.
Has bright eyes.
He does.
Very inquisitive.
And super, super smart. Smartest dog I've ever had.
Why is it that a lot of rescue dogs are afraid of men?
Because it's usually men who abused him.
Because we have I have a pit bull at home
Mm-hmm.
that she was rescued, and the same thing, she wouldn't get near me. Now she does.
Yeah.
Now it's no problem. She won't get it.
Some man beater. Stop.
But
You're fine.
Well, it's
From
my
what I
fault.
heard-
I antagonized
what I
you.
heard is that they were using her as a breeder
Uh-huh.
for pit bulls that were in
Right.
fights and
Fighters,
so forth.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's why. But she was rescued, and so we ended up getting her. And she has been one of the best dogs anybody. And with the kids, she's fine.
Yeah.
She when my daughter comes over and then like a baby, she put her on the floor on a blanket because she's starting to roll and doesn't want her to fall off the bed. And she'll go and sit there and guard that child
Yep.
like it was her own. I mean, she's real overprotective and.
My experience is that normal sized dogs like pit bulls, and I'm a big dog person myself, despite what's on the end of this little leash. Big dogs, normal sized dogs, are usually not afraid of kids at all, even if they've been in a home where kids have tried to abuse them, just because of their size. But when you think about somebody this size, huh, Kit? And now think about kids that are 5 and 6 years old that are pulling his ears and pulling his tail and, treating him inappropriately. So, and which is stop. Hey, sit. Thank you. Stay right there. Okay, stay right there.
That's my fault again. I'm just trying to get him to come over and say hello.
He won't. He'll come over and bite you, but he won't come say hello. I can guarantee it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but he will bite you, which is why he's on such a super short leash.
I see.
And
My wife has me on the same type.
yeah,
Yes.
short leash for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as I said, he's getting better, but it takes a while. And I mean, just imagine if you're in a family with little kids that aren't being supervised. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened, and eventually he turned around and probably bit, because that's his only defense. And then, I'm pretty sure Dad came home and smacked the crap out of him. So, he had been living on the streets in Yuma, nobody knows for how long, before somebody picked him up and took him to the shelter. He got to the
I was
shelter.
going to ask you, you're not from central New York, and I'm having difficulty with the accent.
Well, I actually lived in Horseheads, just north of Elmira, for 3.5 years, but that was all. I was born in Frederick, grew up in Baltimore,
Okay.
and then started moving north and then west. I moved from Horseheads out to California. And then, so he was in the shelter, super, super skinny. I got to see him the day before he was coming out of quarantine. They wouldn't let me touch him or anything, and because they do a 2-week quarantine on everybody they bring in. And yeah, he was like super skinny, really malnourished. And the good news is he loves dogs, even though he hates people. And that's a better situation, because I can say to you, oh no, don't reach for him, he will bite you. You know, kind of hard to say that if the situation were different and he didn't like dogs. But I think he must have packed up on the street to be able to stay safe, because he thinks every big dog is like the best thing in the world. Don't you, baby boy? So do I want to do the film first, or do I want to just walk around and find it when I get there?
Why don't you walk around? I got some other people coming in. There's a ranger that's walking around.
Uh-huh.
If you want the full history, they would probably be your best.
Cool. Awesome.
one. There's also in the Grove
that's
Building
where-
Uh-huh.
a movie. So if you, that plays every half an hour.
Okay.
So if you want to sit where you might be able to film the whole thing.
No, I won't do that. That's too much for YouTube, and it's a copyright infringement.
I did
Hi,
say
you getting ready to do a
film.
tour?
I said
Or self-guided?
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right, Kidster. Let's just take a look. Okay, so here we've got artisans' quarters. Specialist tradesmen, like carpenters and blacksmiths, were hired from time to time. And they would also supervise the less skilled maintenance work conducted by regular soldiers. All right, let's take a look. Look at how low the doorways are. I mean, I'm short. Yeah, and if I don't duck a little bit, I can bang my head. Were people shorter in the 1700s? I know Lincoln certainly wasn't. And all the wood chips going directly into the fireplace. Smells like old wood in here. All right, Kit. So we got 20 minutes before the film. This is Southwest Bombproof Storeroom and Siege Hospital. Bombproof with ventilation shaft leading to the top of the bastion was considered the best place for keeping food. Salt meat, peas, flour, rice, and vinegar, and other non-weapon supplies. For most of the fort's history, it was a storage area for such provisions. During the 1777 siege, the bomb-proof was converted to a makeshift hospital. The turns in the hallway prevented shrapnel from entering, keeping troops and supplies safe. Dark in here. Interesting, it actually looks much lighter on the camera than it does as we walk in here. There's no lights. I need to get out my phone for a flashlight because I really can't see. Okay, I didn't have to see too far, but I couldn't see around the corner. So I guess the turns work. I got a little lantern there, another one over there. Kind of set up for the hospital back there, I guess. Yeah, this looks much brighter on the camera than it does in real life. Rainwater collecting from a gutter. In the 18th century, prison was not considered punishment in itself. Prisoners were those awaiting their sentence. Punishments were usually painful and humiliating, performed in public as an example to the rest of the garrison. Capital punishment was reserved for the most serious crimes, but even minor transgressions were punished by flogging. Offending soldiers were kept chained in the guardhouse until they were brought up for court-martial. This room has been laid out to look like the guardhouse, although the original building has not been reconstructed. Which actually seems both kind of spacious. Stay down. Although I wonder if they were maybe putting 2 people in a bed, which also seem really short. I'm guessing people must have been shorter. So we visited Fort Wayne, old Fort Wayne, last year, I think. I'll try and remember to link that video here. There are some similarities in fort construction here, and fort layout.
Hello again.
Oh. Look at the size of these logs. Just look at it.
White pine was native to the area. That's now protected in the Adirondacks. There isn't a supply of it. So this was rebuilt with southern pine. Unfortunately, the pressure treated process back in 1976 wasn't as good, so some of it has rotted out. So this is ordinarily a climatically controlled area, glass, so that these don't deteriorate, but they're 250 years old.
Was some of that timber you mean, or the
Oh, no,
brickwork?
no,
Brickwork.
the only thing that's original is the brick from the fireplace.
Okay, okay. So there were some parts of the fort that remained, intact, or just foundations and stuff?
Just foundations, the fact that it was more rotted out.
Orderly room. Headquarters of the fort, where officers conducted the general business of the fort, writing daily garrison orders, holding meetings, completing paperwork. Look at the size of this step up. Wow. This is the staff dining room. Would have been living quarters for 2 to 3 officers, located in the headquarters building, which was not reconstructed. And then the commandant's quarters over here,
13 maybe?
2 to 3 officers. So, original quarters were located in the headquarters building, which was not reconstructed.
We have a flag on the wall there.
Is there a flag on the wall there?
On the far wall? Again, I don't need to go around this far. No, okay.
Officers' quarters here, up to 4 officers.
Red, white, and blue. We fly it here during the month of August when the siege took place.
Come.
Betsy Ross supposedly never met George Washington as far as the American flag. The reason that we're here, like I said, those 2 water bodies. This is
Big
called
fireplace.
the Care.
Yep.
They said it was E.O. Wayne's. When I started volunteering down here, the indigenous people said, that's not one of our words. Thank you. And so all the years that I was in high school, we had this Young Free Academy E.O. Wayne's yearbook. All of a sudden, big lodge, U.S. come down the street.
Visiting officers' lodging.
Casino and their new well. There is now a beautiful diorama.
Which I guess we can't go to.
The
That appears to be closed off, but we can go up. This one. Let's go up. So there would have been cannon pointing out from all of these cutouts, which would have made this pretty daggone defensible, huh? And then we got all the spikes sticking out down there. Pretty impressive. And look at the ceiling here. I mean, these boards are what, like at least 12 inches, maybe 16. Which probably helped with the heating and cooling, I'm thinking. This thing on the right was the surgeon's dry room in there. Here we've got family quarters. Soldiers would have been accompanied by their families as they had no other way of supporting them. Later in the war, it became common for officers running low on assets to also have their families join them. Most families would have lived in surrounding camps rather than in the fort. Wives and older children worked as camp followers, doing domestic duties in exchange for food and shelter. This was considered quite a hardship for some officers' wives. Hang on, Kit. One of the few documented cases of an officer's family living at the fort was in 1780 and 1781, when Captain Moody of the artillery had his wife and daughter living here with him. While we do not know the exact causes for this, it is probable that Captain Moody had reached a point where he could no longer provide for his family without bringing them into Army service. This room represents the sort of quarters that Captain Moody and his family might have lived in. And so, in reality, as we look at this, in many ways not all that different from what we were seeing at Fort Larned from the 1860s. So things change, but not necessarily all that much. Check out the fireplace, which obviously has had fires in it. And yeah, 3 people living in one room. I am often amazed at the resiliency that people have demonstrated. Okay, junior officers' quarters. Continental Army could earn battlefield promotions. So even enlisted men could become junior ranking officers like ensign or lieutenant. These quarters could have housed 2 or 3 junior officers who might have seen a military career as an opportunity for great adventure. So 2 doesn't seem too bad. 3 would have been kind of tight. And we got a ladder here to nowhere. Another nice looking fireplace. I mean, I guess, you could put a 3rd one right here. And then a table. Wow. But let's just think about this. In many ways, it's much bigger than my home, but I have better amenities. Soldiers' quarters. This would have been the barracks building. Okay, well, they're only stacking them too high. But they are pretty close together, as you can see. And I'm betting they were putting 2 in a bed, based on the width. So let's see, we'd have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36. So 3 dozen men in this room. Wow. Just wow. Is there anything we can get to here? I don't think so. Yeah, still not clear what all of this is around the outer wall. Probably, maybe more barracks, probably storage. Probably storage would be my guess. Artillery was a specialist discipline requiring knowledge of math and use of measuring tools to calculate trajectories. Artillery soldiers therefore received better pay and living conditions than regular soldiers, although their job was also far more dangerous. Artillery companies sent to the fort were often short of men. Common soldiers had to be drafted to complement the cannon crews, which would have trained them in the necessary skills.
So those are the rules. These people got special treatment because they were
Technical.
more knowledgeable. Yeah, so they paid for their
So
skills.
when they were using this right here to clean it,
And then here we've got a settler. Civilian trader acted as a link between the fort and the outside world. Yeah. Missionaries' quarters.
We aren't allowed. I got out in California, San Francisco area.
Okay. I don't think these are original restrooms. Pretty sure not. Soldiers' quarters casemate. Space represents the typical quarters for regular soldiers. A casemate of this size would have housed at least 40 soldiers every night. They ate, cooked and ate by the fire, slept on the straw bunks. Soldiers slept sitting up because it was believed to be healthier than laying stretched out. During the day, the barracks were empty, except for any sick soldiers. With such close conditions and poor sanitation, sickness was commonplace. Another big step up. Oof. And a big step down. Wow. And that is a really big fireplace. It's almost as tall as I am. I can't even imagine. And I guess this is your sleeping bag. That was a very big step. Hi. Good. So I got a couple of questions. Were most of the exterior, like this says it's a soldier's casement, was most of the exterior wall things housing or storage or both?
Yeah, mixture of both, mostly housing.
Okay.
They like this for housing and storage just because
Super thick.
you're less likely to get killed by a shell if
Yeah.
one hits.
Yeah.
These things are more resistant. They did house people inside, but not as many, and they're mainly the back half. There would have been another section of walls, of buildings. So the officers would have slept inside
Uh-huh.
the bomb-proof one, and they would have worked on the outside.
On the outside. Okay, that makes sense. And when was the fort reconstruction done?
So that was done late 60s, early 70s for the bicentennial.
And how long has the national park been open here?
So it was a national monument.
Right,
from,
sorry.
From 1935, I want to say.
Yeah, 35. The site was designated as a national monument.
Mm-hmm.
Then they started the reconstruction in 1974, and it opened in 76.
Cool. Okay, so here's my next question that maybe you guys can answer. What is the difference between a national monument, a national park, and a national historic site?
Designation by Congress.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so there's really like no way I could know without reading the sign what one is going to be versus another.
Right. Yeah, because every site there's legislation is passed, to
Okay.
establish a national park or monument or whatever they decide to call it.
Nice, nice. Well, this is actually, this has been quite fun. I think it is probably the first thing like this that I've seen in a city from the National Park Service.
Yeah, this is the largest reconstruction project the National Park Service has ever done.
Wow, okay,
They
cool.
normally don't do it because they like to preserve more than
Right.
rebuild.
Yeah.
But because the city did archaeology and they got a lot of money and help from the city, they decided to go ahead with the project.
Well, and it's much more interesting to see it this way than it would be just to see the few remaining ruins, which would then have been harder to preserve anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
to a large extent. I have been to Old Fort Wayne, so that one's in a city. Old Fort Wayne. That one's in a city as well, but it's comparatively smaller. It's about maybe 2/3 the size of this, I think, maybe half even. And the walls weren't quite as thick, but it's always different under each era. Oh, look at this is the gate mechanism.
Yes. So we don't know if that's the one that was used. The records just kind of show drawbridge.
Uh-huh.
All the blueprints they're made by engineers for engineers, so they're not very descriptive all the time.
Right.
Because they assume you know. If you ever want to infuriate yourself, read a 1700s cookbook.
Yeah, that would be,
It's great. It's all chefs writing for chefs, so it's like, take butter, some flour, and water, and make bread.
Well, that's actually, that's the way I cook anyway, so. Most things don't need to be measured. They really don't. Precisely. So, but engineering is different.
Yes. So they didn't mark down which type they used, but this was the most common type used in a lot of frontier forts. Just a counterweight system.
Mm-hmm.
Rolling steel counterweight with a chain. Get a bunch of people and pull it up. It's not good for your back, but they had plenty of people and low standards of healthcare and working standards. So
OSHA didn't exist yet.
No.
Yeah, probably would have been an issue if they had, but otherwise very cool. And I don't think I've ever seen an American fort with a moat. Was that pretty common?
Lots of them did.
Really?
They just didn't. They don't like to reconstruct the outside parts.
Maybe that's why.
They like to have proper paths up a lot of the times, and especially the glossy, the hill outside. Lots of forts don't like to do that because
it's a lot of work.
You want to see the fort.
Yeah.
Too, and it obstructs half the view of the fort.
Gotcha.
Which is why it was there. But it's not good for looking at.
Yeah. It's not aesthetically pleasing, but that's not why the fort was built. So there's that. All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. Hope you have, like me, an amazing and fascinating day.
Thank you.
Every day. That's my world. Okay, well, there you have it, guys. We learned a fair amount there, didn't we? And since we've seen this, we're just going to be retracing our steps, get back to Henry, and figure out where we're sleeping tonight.
I pledge
I pledge
to be the best junior ranger
to be the best junior and senior ranger
and to honor,
protect,
and learn more about
Fort
Fort
Stanwix,
and other national parks. Congratulations.
Thank
You're
you.
now a junior ranger.
Thank you very much. Check it out, guys.
We got a few other little things for you.
Oh, goody. Wow, you get lots of swag here. We got a sticker. We've never had a sticker before. We get a postcard and a Fort Stanwix pin. Pretty cool.